on the world's most expensive nuclear submarine. How exciting is life? This is the U.S. Ohio-class nuclear submarine. Next 3 months. Submarine soldiers have to spend their time eating, drinking and sleeping here. Generally speaking, the living areas of submarines are generally very small. Usually only accounts for 1/5 of the total area of the submarine. Even some extreme ones. The living area of a submarine can be compressed even smaller. But the Ohio-class nuclear submarines don't have much to worry about in this regard. It's all done according to the highest standards. A huge body measuring 170 meters long and 13 meters wide. The living area is much larger than a typical submarine. It can fully support the crew's entertainment. Necessary entertainment equipment. Not only does this submarine have everything, some things may even be overallocated. No need to worry about life at all. When I don't have any tasks, I feel so happy. The first is the aspect of eating. The food in the Army is divided into 3, 6 or 9 grades. But in all countries, highest level, the highest standard is definitely the food of nuclear submarines. On a U.S. nuclear submarine, crew members can even eat 5A grade steaks. It is necessary to understand that the positioning of a submarine is different from that of a ship in advance. Put in game. It is a ship with high burst and high damage, such as assassins. To this end, it requires the crew to hide in the deep sea for a long time, waiting for the command to unleash the strongest blow. In order to, crews can live on submarines for long periods of time. All countries are facing. The life cycle system of the boat has been optimized. This includes food storage and air purification. Every time a submarine goes on a mission, they bring enough food. Although there is a lot of food, don't squander it carelessly. There are even strict arrangements for what to eat every day. If there are no rules, there is no way a submarine can survive in the deep sea for several months. Normally, the first things to be eaten are fresh vegetables and fruit, because these foods are difficult to store and are prone to spoilage. Even if it is frozen in a refrigerator, it can't be stored for many days. So let the submarine go to sea a few days ago. Not to mention the food, it's close to a star hotel. At the very least, it's a luxury package. Various. After all, if you don't finish it quickly, it will be wasted. In the deep sea where there is no more supplies, wasting food is a very shameful thing. Wait until the fresh fruits and vegetables are used up. The food on the submarine will return to normal. But even so, submarine guy, food is still the best of all the military services. It's just that I can't eat fresh fruits and vegetables for the time being. Other than that, there is no difference from before. The main reason why submariners' meals are so good is, the reason is because across all branches of the military, only submariners have the hardest time, under the greatest pressure. Even if it is a navy that goes to sea at about the same time as submarines, the level of hard work is far less than half that of submarine soldiers. The most obvious difference is loneliness. Submarines are different from other naval ships. A place where other ships at least rest, are concentrated within a general range. The submarine's resting places are completely dispersed. Where do your work? The rest area is built next to it. Purpose of doing this? It is to reduce the living burden of the crew. Facilitates rapid maneuvering and reaction during combat. But the disadvantage of this is that the crew would be too lonely. Some submariners once said that even if a person likes silence, even obsessed with loneliness, I can't bear the loneliness when the submarine is performing its mission. On a submarine, where you can't tell whether it's day or night. That kind of loneliness is the emptiness from the inside out. People who have experienced it once. I definitely wouldn't want to experience it a second time. In a scene where people cannot clearly perceive the alternation of the sun and the moon, there will be great mental pressure. Most ordinary people in this environment can't even last a week. No matter how bad this situation is, the crew are going to court-martial to complain. This is almost a violation of the International Prisoner of War Convention. But there are always exceptions to everything. Although the food on a nuclear submarine is good, but it's not available at all times. After all, nuclear submarines are strategic weapons. You cannot turn on the fire to cook while performing certain tasks. Avoid accidents being discovered. During this time, the crew can only eat canned food and the like without any need. Food that can be eaten by heating. When not performing tasks, or taking breaks during shifts. The crew also has entertainment activities. After all, humans are not machines. If you are under high pressure and cannot be released, the body and mind will be irreparably damaged. There will be a small gym inside the submarine. Although it accommodates very little equipment. But at least I can vent my experience of having nowhere to go. Rely on exercise to clear away the messy thoughts in your mind. All air defense. Save yourself the trouble of going crazy. Or you can read a book when you are bored. This is spiritual food. Because life is too long. If you really carry a lot of books, there is not a lot of space for storage either. So the US military might, as well give all submarines, are equipped with a certain number of e-readers. In a small chip, can store most of the books in the world. Don't tell me how many months it has been. Even if you watch it for a lifetime, you may not be able to finish it. In addition to these entertainment activities, what makes the crew happy the most is definitely swimming. Different from ships sailing on the sea. Although the submarine is surrounded by sea, but can barely swim. The Titanic submarine is an example. Don't talk about people in the deep sea. Even a submarine will be crushed to pieces. As long as you don't want to die, you will never think about it. Go swimming during missions. But submarines are not open all year round. Still have some holidays. When not performing tasks, the submarine will surface. Let the crew go swimming on the sea for a while. After all, submarines really cost a lot of money. Forget about entertainment facilities. Even the bedroom where the crew sleeps. Next to them are either weapons or high-precision instruments. Want to build a swimming pool inside a submarine? It's nothing more than a fool's dream. No one does this except the anchor. And go swimming in the sea. It's also a rare opportunity. After all, I have been holding it in a small and depressing space for so long. Feel the vastness of the sea. Enjoy the baptism of nature. Can reduce a lot of fatigue. But, although compared to the Ohio G and the submarine, it's hard work, but at least the living conditions are good. At that time, China's nuclear submarines had just started. Is this really a violation of the International Prisoner of War Convention? Let alone living for a few months. The submarine environment at that time. Anyone who survives for a week can be said to have a superhuman physique. But, although life aboard an Ohio-class nuclear submarine, it was tough, but the crew didn't complain at all. After all, it is to protect your motherland. This is the consensus of all submariners. How powerful is the US Ohio-class nuclear submarine? Why is it called the deadliest killer in the ocean? As a submarine built by the United States at a cost of $4 billion US, Ohio and nuclear submarines are naturally the best in the world. Undertake tasks such as exploration and attack. The submarine is 170 meters long and 13 meters wide. Full staff of 140 people. Speed 30 knots. Come and go freely under the sea. Like a ghost. Most radars can't do it. Accurately detect specific locations. It uses nuclear power and does not require refueling. Able to lurk under the sea for long periods of time. Waiting for the final moment to arrive. If you replenish your food supply, you can go in the sea. Sailing for more than 90 days. No need to go to the surface to replenish oxygen and food. Self-sufficiency can be said to be among the best in the world. 50 days longer than Russia's Boreal nuclear submarine. More lasting. Submarines are engaged in latent warfare. Just like a sniper. Comparing who has fewer flaws exposed. Comparing whose latency time is longer. At this point of lurking. U.S. Ohio-class nuclear submarine. Not to mention the North Wind God who defeated Russia. At the very least, it can stabilize one end of the voltage. The difference between masters and masters is eternity. What's more, the United States suppressed Russia for 40 days this time. Battery life is almost twice that of Russia. In terms of weapons, Ohio-class strategic nuclear submarine has 24 ballistic missile launchers. The first 8 ships are equipped with 3X-class C-4 ballistic missiles. The missile is 10 meters long and 2 meters in diameter. Launch weight 33 tons. Using new 3-stage solid-state rocket propulsion. Range 7,400 kilometers. The error is only 380 meters. It can be said that as long as the shot is not too biased. Definitely hit the target. But it doesn't matter even if you miss the target. After all, the explosion range can definitely cover this area. However, this type of submarine starts from the 9th missiles carried. It became the 5th Sanchargi II intercontinental missile. Not only the length of the missile has also been greatly increased. The weight of the missile became an astonishing 60 tons. Maximum range increased to 12,000 kilometers. Can carry 8 nuclear warheads, with an equivalent of 100,000 tons of TNT. If you pursue maximum power. Can carry up to 14 nuclear warheads, with a yield of 100,000 tons. But if you do this, you will lose more than you gain. The maximum range will be reduced to 6,000 kilometers. The range was directly reduced in half. It can be said that once these submarines enter a state of combat readiness, the whole world will tremble 3 times. This is really pretending. A big killer equipped with country-destroying weapons. But the good thing is that no one dares to really look for the United States. The trouble with these submarines is that although they are occasionally deployed, but it is also mainly responsible for patrol and exploration tasks. Russian God of the North Wind. In terms of weapons, compared with the U.S. Ohio-class nuclear submarine, the advantages are not obvious. Also equipped with intercontinental missiles and nuclear warheads. The difference may be that Russian submarines are larger. There are a little more weapons that can be equipped. Nuclear weapons are more powerful. However, despite its huge size, the number of missiles loaded is not an order of magnitude more. And Russia's Boreal submarine. In quantity, much less than the Ohio class of the same class in the United States. Only 4 ships are in service. Even counting the 5th ship currently at sea. Still no more than double digits. There is a clear difference in the numbers between the two. Even though Russia is working overtime to build, it is impossible to surpass the United States in a short time. After all, submarines are just like ordinary warships. There are too many aspects that need to be tested. Ship Electronic Systems of Ohio-class nuclear submarines is the most advanced in the world today. Can carry out all-round monitoring and investigation of the surrounding area. The electronic system of a nuclear submarine of this level. Strong anti-interference ability. Even if the surrounding signals fluctuate violently, there will be no malfunction problems. For submarines like this, once something happens. For the military, who didn't even have time to write a suicide note, this is undoubtedly one of the best protections out there. After all, even in a solid shell, it can't stop the bombing of torpedoes and missiles. As long as there is a small hole in the submarine, the crew can now clean up the ship. Even if the king of hell comes, he can't save the lives of the crew. But this is not all about the Russian attack on the Russian Kislyan nuclear submarine. After all, submarines belong to assassins. This submarine is another leader among submarines. The stealth performance was naturally top-notch at the time. In theory, it is possible to pass under other ships without being discovered. Only nuclear submarines can do this. To be called world-class, anyone who has played the game knows that although the assassin's burst is high, but there is a fatal flaw: it is extremely brittle. Not to mention that it breaks when touched, but it's almost the same. Just get hit. No matter how powerful the missile is, it can kill everyone on the submarine. Therefore, concealment is the top priority of submarines. Everything else can be put later. Only concealment must be done best. In other words, we need to achieve the top level possible. In addition to concealment, another of the Ohio-class nuclear submarines. The strong point is anti-submarine capabilities. No matter what the reason is, once a war breaks out, submarines not only have to hide themselves, it is also necessary to have the ability to detect hostile submarines. At this time, every submarine is a hunter with a gun. They are also prey. Ohio submarine, equipped with advanced anti-radar systems, able to capture radar bands emitted by other submarines. Use this to analyze the opponent's position and counterattack. However, this function is rarely activated in the United States itself. After all, when you can detect the opponent's radar, it means that you have also entered the opponent's attack range. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall outside the opponent's reaction range. Giving the enemy a thunderous blow is the way to go. Turn on anti-radar system. It's just a helpless move forced by circumstances. No one wants to use it unless absolutely necessary. This is truly giving your life to God. Many high-tech combinations. This created the strongest position of Ohio and nuclear submarines. Even if you leave it alone, no one can despise it. The nuclear warheads carried are concealed in the depths of the ocean. Hiding this is like the sword of Damocles. High above the world. The world's most powerful U.S. nuclear powerhouse, Ohio. How are submarines built and maintained? The construction of American Ohio and nuclear submarines is not complicated. Not much different from a normal submarine. The first step is to plan the internal structure. Submarines are different from other man-made products. Or quite the opposite. Generally, the overall appearance of a product is designed first. Then design the internal structure. Submarines cannot do this. The first thing to determine is the internal space. How to build, how to design. Where should weapons be placed? Where is the staff rest area located? These need to be completed before construction. After all, space on a submarine is really precious. An inch of space is wasted. These are all unprofessional designers. After the interior space is designed, it's the turn of the shell to be forged. Because of the special working environment of submarines, the shell not only needs to be able to withstand the high pressure of deep sea, it also needs to be able to resist corrosion from sea water. Because it is under the sea all year round. Will there be problems with the submarine shell? Seems very important. But because it's too big, there is no way to integrate stamping and forming. Therefore, it needs to be carried out in stages. Generally speaking, there are fewer places to weld. The more stable the overall framework is. So the hulls of submarines are made of huge steel plate welded. The hull of the submarine before formal welding. You need to enter the high-pressure laboratory first. Withstand high pressure close to 2 kilometers deep. Simulate testing of the water pressure a submarine may be subjected to. This step can ensure the potential to the greatest extent. Safety of boat crew. When it is already certain to start construction, usually there will be a ceremony. If the submarine has temporary accommodation during the ceremony, the sponsor's name will be engraved on a steel plate and permanently installed on the submarine. When welding the shell, staff need to constantly use ultrasonic waves to measure submarines. Check whether welding is normal. Will there be any accidents? After all accidents on submarines may bring devastating blows. After that comes the installation of the deck and internal wiring. Without this, the submarine is just a huge ornament, completely unable to move. If you put it into the sea, it will only sink slowly. After the lines are laid, it's the installation of electronic equipment. Ohio-class nuclear submarines can navigate all seas. What makes it the most powerful nuclear submarine in the world? It's all about these electronic devices. These electronic devices will become the eyes of the submarine. In the complex environment of the seabed, not only is there no light, also distinguish between various terrains. Without the assistance of these electronic devices, the submarine will be unable to move even an inch. After all, the human eye is of little use at the bottom of the sea. You can only rely on these machines to obtain the surrounding data. Want to win a battle about submarines with human eyes? War between boats. Idiots say that dreams are considered flattering, except as an eye accident. These electronic devices are more like brains. Need to keep running. Used to complete a series of operations on submarines. If an accident occurs, the submarine will be paralyzed without saying a word. At the very least, it will become 6 on the left hand and 7 on the right hand. Epilepsy patient making a circle with left foot and kicking with right foot. The whole hemiplegia. Not to mention fighting, it would be nice to be able to sail normally. After all equipment is completed, it's the last round of testing. The submarine will be slowly sent out of the workshop, transported to the beach for testing in the water. Only submarines can rise and fall normally in the sea. This submarine will be officially incorporated into the U.S. Navy fleet. However, it is rare that all layouts are completed. The last thing that got stuck at the last step. This probability is infinitely close. You were struck by lightning a dozen times in one day. When it is officially transferred to the U.S. Navy, the ship will arrive. Gave him a job. This is 100% an iron rice bowl. No one can drive this submarine. Don't work until you can't work properly. I will never retire. To be precise, this is no longer an iron rice bowl. This is already a diamond rice bowl. As long as it is a man-made product. No matter how detailed it is, there is one characteristic. Requires regular care and maintenance. Latent boats are no exception. To maintain a submarine, you need at least a dock. The submarine will be under the command of the staff. Slowly enter the dock. Waiting for the water in the dock to be slowly drained. Staff member. Only to give this big guy, who has been in the deep sea, do some cleaning. After cleaning the shell, the shipping staff will submarine interior for maintenance. If no accident happens, this maintenance and upkeep of the submarine will end here. But if you find a problem, it will change from routine maintenance to overhaul. After all, a submarine is not a car. If it really doesn't work, you can still pull over and stop. A little problem in the deep sea. It is possible that the crew members will be buried in the belly. The maintenance methods of submarines are different in different places. Maybe two rooms that look similar. Maintenance methods vary greatly. The tools needed are also diverse. In addition to routine maintenance, submarines will also undergo irregular maintenance. Not only to prevent accidents from happening, more for upgrading equipment. Submarines have a long service life. Want to keep it advanced? It is necessary to upgrade the equipment. After all, technology is progressing. If you don't upgrade, it is very likely that the Ohio-class nuclear submarine will fall from the altar. This is what the military industry is like. Just like sailing against the current, if you don't advance, you will retreat. After the submarine is inspected and repaired, the crew will also hold a welcome ceremony, celebrating the return of the submarine. A huge garland will be hung on the submarine. After all, the overhaul is complete. 4 submarines. No less than a person who has just recovered from a serious illness returns to society. It's a little celebration for the Navy. Celebrating the return of the submarine to the Navy means the number can still be used normally. Not a cold code name. Still their brothers. A call. Maybe from the depths of the ocean. Bring fire support backing. After the welcome ceremony is over, crew members will also return to their jobs one after another. Continue to stick to a certain corner of the world. The unknown guardian of his country. It can be said that the submarine is an unknown hero, hidden in a corner of the world. Compared with the glamorous aircraft carrier formation, he may not be outstanding. You can't even show up arrogantly. But for a country, this is definitely an indispensable force.